Yellowstone National Park!
How could such an innocent and peaceful animal be destroying one of our most treasured national parks?
I hate deer.
One of the most exciting scientific findings in the past half century has been the discovery of widespread trophic cascades. A trophic cascade is an ecological process which starts at the top of the food chain and tumbles all the way down to the bottom. And a classic example is what happened in the Yellowstone National Park in the United States when the wolves were reintroduced in 1995. Now, we all know that wolves kill various species of animals, but perhaps we are slightly less aware that they give life to many others. Before wolves were reintroduced, they were absent for almost 70 years, but the number of deer, because there was nothing to hunt them, built up and up in the Yellowstone National Park. And despite human efforts to control them, they have managed to reduce much of the vegetation to almost nothing. They had just grazed it all away. But as soon as the wolves were reintroduced, even though they were few in number, they started to have the most remarkable effects. First, they killed some of the deer, but that wasn't the major thing. Much more significantly, they radically changed the behaviour of the deer. The deer started avoiding certain parts of the park, the places where they couldn't be trapped so easily, particularly the valleys and the gorges, and immediately those places began to regenerate. In some areas, the height of the trees quintupled in just 6 years. Bare valley sides became forests of aspen and willow and cottonwood, and as soon as that happened, the birds started moving in. The number of songbirds and migratory birds started to increase greatly. The number of beavers started to increase because the beavers like to eat the trees. Beavers, like wolves, are ecosystem engineers. They create niches for other species, and the dams they build in rivers provide habitats for otters, muskrats, ducks, and fish, and even amphibians. The wolves killed coyotes, and as a result of that, the number of rabbits and mice began to rise, which meant more hawks and more weasels, more foxes, more badgers, ravens and bald eagles came down to feed on the carcasses that the wolves had left. Bears ate it too, and their population began to rise as well, because there was more berries growing on the regenerated shrubs. And the bears reinforced the impact of the wolves by killing some of the calves of the deer. But here is where it gets really interesting. The wolves changed the behaviour of the rivers. They began to meander less. There was less erosion, the channels narrowed, more pools formed, and more riffle sections, all of which meant the rivers became more and more lotic. The rivers changed in response to the wolves, and the reason was that the regenerating forest stabilized the banks so they would collapse a lot less often, so that rivers became more fixed in their course. Similarly, by driving the deer out of some places and the vegetation recovering along the valley sides, there was a lot less soil erosion because the vegetation stabilized that as well. So the wolves, although very small in number, transformed not just the ecosystem of the Yellowstone National Park, this huge area of land, but also its physical geography.